Hi guys, this week we're going to look at how to write believable characters. A believable character is one of the most important tools in your screenplay. If people just don't believe your character, they won't believe the story, they won't believe the actions, they won't believe the dialogue, they won't believe a whole lot of things. So the character is informed and made believable by their actions and by their dialogue. So we're going to look at some things that you need to really keep in mind when you're creating a character to make sure they're believable. Okay, here's like the first one. Is the character within our understanding, within the audience's understanding of the character and the type of character that we're talking about? If we're talking about a broken ex-rock star, society's understanding of that might be the Ozzy Osbournes, the Steve Tylers, the guys that are quite open to confessing and telling everyone about their drug addictions, the Keith Richards of the world. That, there's the Dennis Leary joke that says the only two things that will survive a nuclear war are Keith Richards and cockroaches, and no one does drugs anymore because Keith did them all. That we understand that about old retired rock stars. Fishermen. They might be rough, gruff, with a bit of a beard. They've got to be tropey, even if they're not tropey, but they have to be within our understanding of that type of character. The audience has to be able to go, okay, they may break outside that box eventually. They may subvert our expectations, but I have an understanding of what that sort of person is like. The actions of the person has to have some logic. They have to act within character. They have to make logical decisions, unless, of course, they're an insane character and they make things that are completely illogical. A bit like when the Joker only burns his half of the money in The Dark Knight. He's in it for chaos. We know logic doesn't play a part of his character. Chaos is his character, so therefore logic doesn't play into it. But they must make logical decisions, because then I believe them. Oh, they've done what I would do. I can relate to them. This is the other thing. It's about making people relatable. People say you've got to have likeable characters. You don't have to have likeable characters. You have to be able to relate to them. And you can relate to them if they make logical decisions, either the sort of decision that you would make, or you can see yourself making those decisions if you were put in their situation. Do they follow patterns in their society? Would that sort of person follow the pattern of society? Could you see that person in that town and go, that's believable? Would you see a person who dresses like the Joker living in a very affluent suburb where everyone dresses, in suits, and suddenly you've got the Joker with his makeup and his cut, Heath Ledger's Joker, with his cut face and his greasy hair and his unkept looks. And people go, oh, hi Jay, see ya. Would he fit in with that part of society? Would that pull you out of it? Well, you say, that's not believable. A person like that doesn't live there. That's unless, of course, that's your story. Like Edward Scissorhands living in that lovely, well-manicured society, suburb. They have to make sense in the greater world. They have to fit in with society. They have to live within our expectations for us to believe them. Do they follow gender believability? I'm all for subverting ideas, but there are certain things that happen. If I was walking down the street and I saw a car accident and the lady got out and she was crying, as a male, I might go over. I probably wouldn't touch her and start with say, are you okay? What can I do for you and everything? And if she was really in distress, I might sort of put my hand on her shoulder, sit her down and say, you're going to be okay, right? The difference, if my daughter or my wife saw that, they're probably more, oh, you're okay. If she was really crying, they might give her a hug. It's okay, societal differences are based on gender a lot of the time. As a male, I'm really cautious. I also, because I've got my daughter's 27 and she tells me at times she's in retail where she's walking back from a shop when it's shut late, that, people follow her, or she stands at a bus stop. She'll try to stand near people that make her feel safe. So that's a pressure that are on women based on our societies. So if I'm walking and there's a woman ahead of me and she's close enough, I'll crosswalk on the other side of the street if I can, or I'll mess around to give her some distance between me and her. Because that's what the society's pressures on different genders. So you still have to remember the gender to make your character believable. Men may be more blustery. They may act differently. There has to be social believability. Also, you have to, if you're going to have a character do something, set it up, right? So we have to see the person doing something beforehand if we're going to rely on them doing it again later on. We can't see the first time someone quote philosophy if we've never seen them read a philosophy book or talk philosophy or whatever. So let's say, here's a quick scene. There's a butcher shop, there's guys cutting up, and there's a guy at the back cutting up a something, I don't know, vegetarian, I forget. He's cutting up some sort of meat. And you'll hear someone from the front counter yell out like, "Hey Craig, what's that thing called when, two things don't equal but people try to push it together?" And he'll say, like, it's a logical fallacy. It's whatever they call that. And he'll tell them real quick, "So we've seen this guy, he understands philosophy, he's just, yeah, thanks." And he goes back and keeps going. So we've done that one little 2-line setup. All right, so later on, when he talks philosophy, we go, yeah, we saw him. He actually has an interest in this. Or we see him on his bus trip on the way in reading. We've got to set it up. We just can't drop it in because it'd be unbelievable to suddenly have a butcher sprout philosophy at a beat poetry thing at night. So think of that. Have you done it? And if your character does have a change, if your character is going to do something which would not normally be believable for that character, the character has to earn it. Okay, they have to do things to earn their right to change. People just don't change. It was a joke. Well, it wasn't really a joke. It was a thing. My mother was, when she was alive, wasn't really into technology to start with. It was like, "Oh yeah, you do computers. You're good at that." And Jacob, "Oh, he's fantastic at computers." And I bought her an iPad. And she got onto Facebook. And she thought Facebook was like TV. She'd ring me up and say, "Oh, quick, get on Facebook. There's a cat playing the piano or something." And eventually she started getting into technology, and then she got quite good at technology, and then she'd sort of start using it to do other things. Right? If that was in a story, she'd earned that change because she evolved with the technology. You just suddenly can't have someone do something and they never earned it. If we see them failing at it, we need to see them get comfortable with it, then we need to see them do it. That would make that believable. If suddenly someone was failing and then suddenly they were great at it, I think the entire idea of the Karate Kid is basically a training montage with a little bit of story thrown in. He gets the crap kicked out of him, and then he wins at the All Valley tournament or whatever it is. That's the story, and he earns that change. You have to earn the change. And that's basically it. To make a character believable, they have to fit within the bounds and confines. So when you write, and dialogue too, people who are not, very articulate won't suddenly use big words. I was doing this the other night. I was going through a script and just rewriting this one character. He was using proper words like cannot. No, he would be a guy that always uses conjunction. It has to be can't or won't or not or. And that's the sort of character. I had to break his language down into shorter and shorter grunts and grinds and eye rolls to make him a believable character. Because if Billy's is the character's name, if he starts off like that, he's not suddenly going to become articulate at the end. At the end, he has a big and emotional thing to say. And in the end, I wrote it so he can't say it. He just has to sort of grunt and look around and walk off. And hopefully the people that read it and watch the story will go, "I feel him. He doesn't have to tell me he's sad. I understand." So that made him believable. And that's how you create a believable character. Put him in the character in the context of the world and make sure that they fit like a gear. They mesh in, and then you can do things with them in your story. If you could, guys, really good. Been having heaps of good conversations. Thank you for everyone who's been liking and subscribing and all that sort of stuff. And until next time, keep writing. Bye, guys.